Hi, my name is Stein and I make Sacre Bleu.
Sacre Bleu!
In this episode, I thought it'd be fun to show you how I make an enemy for the game. In Sacre Bleu, we have our standard enemies. The soldier, who is a melee unit, and the archer, who is, well, an archer, and the shield guy, who requires you to break the shield with a special attack to beat him. We'll have some special different areas in Chapter 1 of Sacre Bleu, the armory, the kitchen, and the sewers. It would be good if we can have a themed enemy for either of these areas. In this episode, I'll show how we make the blacksmith, who is a tank-like unit with a massive hammer that deals shockwave damage and who'll throw grenades at you if you manage to break the hammer. Let's delve right in. Design. First off, I'll have a meeting with Alex. Alex is a game designer for Sacre Bleu, and we'll just sit around and make jokes for a while, and then I'll start bouncing ideas off of him and see if anything sticks. For this enemy, we agree about two things. One, the player should use the upward slash to break the hammer, and two, his behavior should incentivize jumping. Drawing. After the meeting, I'll make some real fast sketches. I won't spend more than 30 seconds per drawing. The only thing that I'm looking for is a rough silhouette and a feel of the character. Once I have an idea of what I want, I'll load up Adobe Animate, which I use for all the drawings in Sacre Bleu. And there I'll rough out the sketches some more until I settle on a design. But before we go on to the next part, I need to explain something real quick. So far into the production, we've used something called flipbooks. That is, character animation that is stored frame by frame on a big texture. This is what some of those frames looks like. It is a great way to work, and it really is to export for Flash with JSON and just drag and drop straight into Unreal. But it's only great if you're a blazingly fast 2D animator, which I'm not. In fact, I measured my output, and for a Sacre Bleu style character, I can push out 14 frames per day. Yeah, that's not a whole lot. And if I need to change something later on, like say add a mustache or a helmet, I'll have to redo every frame. So yeah, no wonder this game has taken forever. After a lot of thinking, I've decided to start using something I call skinned cutout animation. It's a technique where you'll split up the character into the individual body parts, and then you'll animate those body parts, and the animation is stored as the individual movement for each body parts into one skeleton animation. So the animation will look the same, it'll feel the same, it'll be easier to make, it'll take less memory space, and it'll allow me to change the look of the character later on without having to adjust the animations. And you can also get the bone position in the game, and this allows us to attach sprites or objects to the different body parts. Having said all that, back in Flash, Adobe Animate, we can break this guy into small parts and place those parts into what we call a sprite sheet. And we load that up in Blender and start making small two-dimensional planes for each of the body parts. So once we've done that, we'll set up hierarchy of these body parts panels. I don't make fancy rigs with bones or anything. I keep it as simple as I can, and then I do some animation and export those animations in an FBX format and import them into Unreal. Unreal is pretty good at reading those FBX files. It'll automatically detect if things are in a hierarchy and construct a skeletal mesh out of it. We don't need to set up that skeleton in Blender. It's automatically created for us, and it skins the mesh for us too. It's pretty cool, and it saves us a lot of work in Blender. And now, onto the fun part, the programming. These enemies don't move themselves, we need to program. And since the enemies in Sacre Bleu are pretty similar in some aspects, they can all run around, They can fall, they can die, and they can be launched with a steam blaster. We can store all of that similar code in something we call a parent class. And then each enemy's special code is stored in the enemy child class. Starting up the blacksmith enemy class, we need to define some logic. Like, once the player is detected, the blacksmith should turn towards him. And if the player is close enough, he will slam the hammer down onto them. Should the player be able to break the hammer with an upslash, then the blacksmith should start tossing grenades at the player. Yeah, and this part is always real fun, and since now all the parent class code has been up and running for a good while, programming an enemy like the blacksmith is done in just 2 or 3 days. And this is what he feels like in the game. And now, grab your sword, twirl your mustache, and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Adieu!